of heaven and earth. Stories of the Chassidic masters. The Baal Shem Tov, master of the good name. Reb Ber, the Maggid of Mezrich. Reb Levi Yitzchok of Berditchev. Reb Zusha of Hanopoli. Reb Melech of Lizensk. Holy Tzaddikim, righteous ones, whose lives, stories, and legends reach out to us from history. To a world of exile and poverty, their words were joy. Into the darkness of ignorance, their prayers brought light. And to the shadows of doubt, their Torah brought life and faith. But above all, it was their humility, and especially their love and kindness, that reached people's hearts. It was a bitter winter in Mezrich, when Reb Pinkus of Frankfurt and his brother Reb Schmelker of Nikolsburg went to see their Rebbe, the Maggid of Mezrich, with a question.
How can it be that the Talmud tells us, commands us to praise God equally when evil or bad things happen to us as when good things happen to us?
The Maggid of Mezrich smiled and looked deep into the eyes of his two students.
Go down to the base Mezrich. There you will find Reb Zusia. He has suffered in poverty and more trials and tribulations than most people I know. He is more qualified than I am to answer your question.
And so it was, on that windy winter's day, that Reb Pinkus and Reb Schmelker went down to the base Mezrich to look for Reb Zusha. The door was blocked with snow. Obviously no one had passed through since the day before. With difficulty they opened it. The wood stove was not burning, and except for one man sitting in threadbare clothing deep in study, a burnt-out candle at his side, the study hall was empty and freezing.
Forgive us for disturbing you, Reb Zusha, but the Maggid of Mezrich said you would be able to answer a question better than he could.
Reb Zusia looked at Reb Pinkus, and then at Reb Schmelker.
Reb Zusha? Yes, Reb Zusia. The Rebbe said you would be able to explain why we praise God when bad or evil things happen to us equally to when good things happen to us.
For a moment, Reb Zusia looked at the two men with humble surprise.
The Rebbe asked you to ask Reb Zusia that?
Yes, Reb Zusia.
Reb Pinkus and Reb Schmelker replied.
How can Reb Zusia answer that? For in Reb Zusia's whole life, all that heaven has given him has only been good.
Then Reb Zusia lifted his closed eyes heavenward and began to gently sing. One day, as the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Chassidic, was preparing to wash his hands before a meal, a distraught woman burst into the room, crying bitterly.
Holy Rebbe, please, please help me. My husband has been missing for a very long time. I do not know what has happened to him or what will become of me. Oh, please, Rebbe. I am told you can tell me where he is.
Sobbing, the woman collapsed onto the table. Still holding his washing cup filled with water, the Baal Shem Tov closed his eyes and silently prayed. He then turned to the woman. You will find your husband in the city of Reb Meir. Go. Peace be with you.
Oh, thank you, Rebbe. Thank you, thank you.
A rabbi visiting the Rebbe for the first time, who witnessed the entire incident, turned to the Baal Shem Tov in puzzlement.
Forgive me, but surely if you are going to answer with nevuah, with prophetic vision, you should have washed your hands first.
The poor woman was at breaking point. You saw that? Was I to stand here and wash my hands and prolong her anguish, even for a moment? With that, the Rebbe began to wash his hands, his head moving in silent prayer. The holy Baal Shem Tov was once asked a question that could only be answered by prophetic vision. He opened the Zohar, the holy book on Kabbalah, and gave an answer. When asked how, by looking into the Zohar, are you able to see events at a distance, the Baal Shem Tov replied, God hid the light he created the world with in the Torah. When a person with all his heart studies and lives the Torah for its own sake, who trusts and totally submits to the will of God, a path is lit up for him, enabling him to see and understand from one end of the world to the other. It is called Or Haganuz, the hidden light. Sitting with his students, the Baal Shem Tov suddenly smiled. Not everyone is versed and knowledgeable in Torah, but in their hearts, they know there is a God and have a love for him. It's these simple people I especially love. Come, let us go. Heaven has told me there is a simple shepherd whose worship of the Holy One is better than mine. With that, they arrived at a distant mountain. Unobserved, they watched the shepherd kneeling, watering his sheep. Then he stood up and spoke to heaven. Master of the world, I believe in you with all my heart. But I am an orphan raised in ignorance. Please accept my shofar call as my prayer to acknowledge you. Then he blew his shofar, and blew till he was exhausted and out of breath. Sustainer of all living things, Supreme One, I am only a shepherd, ignorant in Torah. Please accept my simple shepherd songs. They are all I know. Then he began to sing with all his soul. In awe, the Baal Shem Tov and his students watched and listened. Creator of the universe, what else can I do for you? I have only one skill left. Suddenly, with boundless energy, he began to somersault, cartwheel, flip, and handstand till he collapsed with exhaustion. Then, remembering, he pulled himself to his full height. Last night, my master, the Puritz, had a party. He gave all his servants a silver penny. Here is mine. Hashem, it is for you. Then he flung the penny heavenward. Stunned, the students of the Baal Shem Tov watched it fly upward, but they didn't see or hear it fall. You never saw it fall, did you? The students shook their heads. It is because heaven stretched out a hand and took it. Yes, what we all have been privileged to see, to witness, is someone who has just fulfilled the commandment to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all you have. By then, the shepherd had quietly gone back to tending his sheep. A Rebbe once sighed when a Chassid asked him about humility. To understand humility, let me tell you a story about Reb Zusia, for Reb Zusia was humility. As he did on his many journeys across Poland to help people, Reb Zusia was walking from one village to another, a small bundle with his worldly possessions over his shoulder. It was a beautiful day, and Reb Zusia was humming a nigun to himself, when suddenly, looking down at his feet, he stopped and was overheard to say,
Good earth, it may appear that as I am standing, I am above you. But as you and I know, one day you will be above me.
Then, bowing to the earth with respect, he continued on his way, singing his nigun. Reb Levi Yitzchok of Berditchev was man's advocate before God. His love for his people was so great that he often braved divine anger to defend and plead mercy for them. Who am I? How insignificant am I? How much sin can be in Reb Levi Yitzchok? And you, the Almighty, how much mercy is in you? Look at the good deeds of your people, their belief in you, their suffering. Please forgive us. What are our failings compared to your mercy? And as God's advocate before man, Reb Levi Yitzchok would always say, you can be for God, you can be against God, but you cannot be without God. Ponder on this. Reb Yechiel Michel, a humble and holy Rebbe, a Talmud of the Baal Shem Tov, was approached by a man for a blessing.
Rebbe, I can't even afford to give charity.
The Rebbe blessed him, and his fortune changed. Each year he became wealthier and wealthier. At first he did give charity, but the richer he became, the more his heart hardened, until it closed altogether.
This is too much. I didn't build this house to be continually bothered. Out! Out!
So the man put a guard at the gate and turned the beggars and the poor away. When Reb Yechiel heard this, he immediately made plans to visit the man.
But Rebbe, he has turned away from the Torah. He will never let you in.
He has a guard at the gate.
Order me the suit of a rich man, and hire the finest coach and horses money can buy. And so they did. Arriving at the gate, he was stopped by the guard. Handing the man a gold coin, the Rebbe spoke to him with authority. Open up. I'm here to do business with your master. Taking the gold coin, the guard opened the gates. Instantly, as the Rebbe was ushered in, the wealthy man recognized him.
How dare you enter my house under false pretenses?
I am pleased you recognize me. It is a pity you have forgotten yourself.
What do you want from me?
What a fine mirror you have, wrought in gold and silver. Turning to the wealthy man, he raised the mirror in front of him. What do you see?
Myself.
The Rebbe stepped to the window. Outside, knowing the Rebbe was visiting the wealthy man, people had begun to gather. Now what do you see?
People.
And now?
Myself.
Then turning the mirror over, the Rebbe peeled away the silver backing. Lifting the silver in the palm of his hand, the Rebbe asked, "What is the Hebrew name for this?"
Kesef.
Silver. What is the other meaning of kesef?
Money.
Money misused can be like a mirror. You see only yourself. Stepping again to the window, the Rebbe held the mirror up in front of it. Now what do you see?
People.
Wealth well used is a blessing. The problem is, we forget it. You ask me what I want from you. The real question is, what do you truly want of yourself? You're a good man. That's why God blessed you. Don't let silver make you forget it. With that, the Rebbe left. Repentant for the rest of his life, the wealthy man became a beloved man of charity, even changing his family name to Re'el, which means the mirror that belongs to God. Once, when Reb Zusia was studying in the basement of the base Mezrich, he heard distant music and the sound of a bridal party approaching. Instantly, Reb Zusia leapt up for joy, ran up the stairs, and into the village street to greet the bride and groom with outstretched arms and with all his energy.
Mazel Tov!
And then, with a smile that lit up the heavens, he cartwheeled and began to dance and sing. Inspired, the musicians joined in with joy and gusto. And did Reb Zusia dance, and dance, and dance, until he collapsed into the arms of two well-wishers.
Yasher Koach! But Reb Zusia, you are old, and how with such energy?
Simcha, joy, brings blessings to the bride and groom.
But for so long?
Have you never been taught the power of joy? I learned from my teacher 3 things. 1, never benefit from putting down or diminishing your fellow man. 2, give as generously as you can to charity. And 3, if someone asks you for forgiveness, give it instantly.
But what has joy to do with those?
Ah, that's the secret. You see, joy is equal to and helps you achieve all 3, and that brings more joy.
Once at a village fair, the Baal Shem Tov saw a man rushing. This way, that way, rushing. Stepping in front of him, the Baal Shem Tov asked him a question. Why are you rushing so?
To make my living.
Are you making a good living? Is it working?
Not at all. That's why I am rushing.
Maybe it's not in front of you. Why not try slowing down, staying in one place? Maybe your living is chasing you. One Melava Malka, the meal to escort the departing Sabbath queen, a Rebbe and his Chassidim were discussing understanding and how often things are not what they appear to be. Let me tell you a moshel, a story to illustrate this, said the Rebbe. There was once a king who received a favor from a holy man. In return, the king sent him a very valuable jewel. Gratefully thanking him, the holy man sent the king a mezuzah, the holy writings we Jews put on the doorways of our homes. When the king received it, he became very angry. What an insult this is! I sent him a precious jewel, and he sends me a piece of parchment in return. When the king's emissaries told this to the holy man, he gently replied, Please, tell the king how truly grateful I am. You see, what the king sent me, I have to keep guard over. However, what I sent the king keeps guard over him. Before beginning a long journey, a rich merchant who toiled constantly to increase his wealth so that he could be free of financial worries and maintain his lavish way of life, went to the Baal Shem Tov for a blessing. After giving him a blessing and wishing him success, the Baal Shem Tov drew him closer. You will surely pass, in the course of your journey, a certain village where my beloved Talmud, Reb Leib, lives. Please be so good as to inquire after his health on my behalf. The Chassid, anxious to please his Rebbe, immediately went to the village and sought out Reb Leib.
Reb Leib?
I don't know a Reb Leib.
Maybe he means Leibke.
Leibke?
Yes, Leibke.
He always sits behind the stove.
And sure enough, behind the stove, there the rich merchant found Leib. Reb Leib? Please. People call me Leib. The holy Baal Shem Tov sent me with greetings to inquire after your health. Grabbing the merchant by his lapels, Reb Leib's eyes shone with excitement.
I am well. I am well. You came from the holy Baal Shem Tov? Accompany me home, please. You must tell me about him. His saintliness, his goodness, his greatness.
Who am I to tell you of the Baal Shem Tov?
You were in his holy presence. Please, please, join me for supper.
The rich merchant could not refuse. Reb Leib's house was a decrepit, lonely shack at the end of a muddy, rubble-filled alley. Reb Leib lit the small lamp which revealed the bareness and poverty of his humble home.
Honored guest, please, please, wash your hands for supper.
After blessings and serving a meager portion of old black bread and soup, which was only boiled water with a little salt added, Reb Leib, enjoying his meal, asked the rich merchant to tell him about the holy Baal Shem Tov. Trying to hide his revulsion at the food and the dampness of the room, the merchant began to tell him of the holy tzaddik. Hanging on every word, his eyes sparkling, Reb Leib and the merchant talked late into the night. Insisting that his guest spend the night, Reb Leib prepared him a bed of wooden planks, with old clothes and rags for blankets. I'm afraid this is poor fare for my honored guest, but I pray you will enjoy a restful sleep. After a restless and uncomfortable night, as Reb Leib was accompanying his guest on his way, the rich merchant stopped. Please forgive me, Reb Leib, but how can you live in such dire poverty?
I am happy. It is my wish. And pray, tell me, my friend, how do you live?
My home is one of comfort, of luxury. It is spacious, large, and airy, filled with fine furniture, soft beds with snow-white linen and down covers. Your night must have been very uncomfortable. How did you endure it? When one travels, one must accustom oneself to temporary accommodations and discomforts.
Then I can reveal to you that I, too, have a grand home, a palace filled with riches, perhaps more valuable than your own.
A palace? Where? Then why do you live in such poverty?
It is not here. It is in the heavenly realms, in the world to come. For you see, my dear friend, I too am traveling and am accustomed to temporary accommodations and discomforts. Holy Chassid of the Baal Shem Tov, are we not all just traveling?